Hello everyone, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines. Welcome back to a new video in our series Museum Ships Remembered, where we talk about historic ships that still exist today. In this video, we'll talk about a ship that started her life as a German ship. She served during World War I and still sails today in Africa. Join me as we explore the story of the MV Liemba. Now, the MV Liemba would begin her life as the German ship the Graf Goetzen. Now, if we talk about the specifics of the ship, she is billed as a passenger and cargo ferry. The vessel would be owned by the German Empire and she would be built in 1913. She would be built by the German shipbuilders, the Meyer Werft shipyard in Papenburg, Germany. The displacement of the ship would be 1,575 tons. Her length would be 71.4 meters. The ship would have had a beam of 9.9 meters. Her machinery consisted at first of 2 round boilers for steam for the 2 triple expansion engines, and the ship could go a speed of 11 knots. Originally, the ship featured 7 first-class cabins, each with a single bed and a sofa bed, and 5 second-class cabins, each with a double bed. She also had dining and smoking rooms for both first and second-class passengers. The ship was equipped with a carbonic ice and cooling unit in an insulated cold storage, capable of producing 3 kilograms, 6.6 pounds of ice per hour. She also featured lighting and ventilation systems. The crew consisted of 64 men, including 60 sailors and 4 officers. After initial assembly, the Goetzen was disassembled and packed into 5,000 boxes, which were then loaded onto 3 cargo vessels and shipped to Dar es Salaam in German East Africa, Rwanda, and the mainland part of Tanzania known as Tanganyika. From there, the boxes were transported by the Central Line trains to Kigoma. The ship was reassembled in Kigoma in 1914 and launched February 5, 1915. Now, during World War I, the Germans converted Goetzen into an auxiliary warship, renaming her SMS Goetzen. They equipped her with a 10.5 centimeter gun from the light cruiser SMS Königsberg, a ship that was no longer operational and whose crew later scuttled her at the mouth of the Rufiji River. Additionally, she was armed with an 8.8 centimeter gun, one of 2 that Königsberg had brought from Germany to potentially arm auxiliary cruisers. Lastly, the survey ship SMS Muwe contributed 2 37mm Hotchkiss revolver guns to Goetzen's armament. The Germans chose Oberleutnant zur See Siebel as the captain of Goetzen. Under his command, the Goetzen initially secured full German dominance on Lake Tanganyika. The ship transported cargo and personnel between Kigoma and Bismarckburg, now Kasanga, Tanzania, sparing troops from a lengthy overland journey of 2 weeks. Additionally, she served as a strategic base for launching unexpected assaults on Allied forces. Consequently, it became imperative for the Allied forces to seize control of the lake. Geoffrey Spicer Simpson and the Royal Navy accomplished the remarkable feat of transporting 2 armed motorboats, Mimi and Tutu, all the way from England through the Belgian Congo to Lake Tanganyika using a combination of rail, road and river routes. Once at Albertville on the western shore of the lake, the British launched their 2 boats. After waiting until December 1915, they launched a surprise attack on the Germans, capturing the gunboat Kingani, which was subsequently renamed HMS Fifi. In February 1916, they successfully sank a second German vessel, Hedwig von Wissmann, leaving Goetzen as the sole remaining German vessel on the lake. With their strengthened position on the lake, the Allies advanced towards Kigoma by land, while the Belgians established an air base at Albertville on the western shore. On the 10th of June 1916, using short Admiralty Type 827 planes, they conducted bombing raids on the Goetzen as she sat in Kigoma's harbor. Although these raids did not inflict severe damage on the Goetzen, the ship remained docked. Earlier in May, the Germans had already removed most of Goetzen's guns for use elsewhere. During the air raid, the Goetzen was equipped with only one remaining 37mm Hotchkiss gun, which was employed as an anti-aircraft defense. By this stage, the conflict on Lake Tanganyika had reached a standstill, with both sides refraining from further attacks. However, on land, the Allies made significant gains, notably severing the railway link in July 1916 and threatening to isolate Kigoma entirely. This prompted the German naval commander on the lake, Gustav Zimmer, to evacuate the town and head south. To prevent the ship from falling into Allied hands, General Leto Vorbeck ordered the scuttling of the Goetzen. 3 engineers from Meyer Werft, who had overseen the ship's assembly on Lake Tanganyika, took on the task. They decided independently to facilitate potential salvage efforts by loading the ship with sand and covering her engines with a thick layer of grease before carefully sinking her on the 26th July in Katab Bay at a depth of 20 meters near the shore. Now, after the war, Johan Ludwig Wall, a Swedish employee of the Belgians, undertook the salvage of the ship in 1918. Initially, divers were employed to remove substantial amounts of material. Following this, Wall filled the ship's holds with empty barrels and passed cables underneath to 2 purpose-built 375-ton barges positioned on either side of the wreck by the Compagnie des Chemins de Fer du Congo Supérieur au Grand Lac Africain. By the end of June 1919, through careful winding of the cables, the Belgians successfully raised the ship up to its gunwales. In mid-September of that year, they floated the partially submerged vessel to Kigoma, where she settled in waters 6 to 7 meters deep, shallow enough for its superstructure to remain above the lake's surface. In early 1920, a storm caused the vessel to shift, ultimately sinking her at Point Lusana. Homer L. Schantz's photographs of Kigoma Bay from mid-February 1920 reveal no trace of the ship. In 1921, the British assumed control of Kigoma. After 3 years, on the 16th of March 1924, they successfully refloated the ship. Finding the engines and boilers still operational, the British opted to refurbish the vessel. On the 16th of May 1927, the ship returned to service renamed as MV Liemba. Mary Catherine Scott, wife of the Chief Secretary and Acting Governor Sir John Scott, christened the Liemba for the Tanganyika Railways and Port Service. In 1941, after the passing of Lord Baden-Powell, on the 7th of January 1941, his widow, Olave, Lady Baden-Powell, sailed northward in the Liemba from northern Rhodesia. The Liemba operated nearly continuously from 1927. In 1948, management of the ferry was transferred to the East African Railways and Harbours Corporation, enabling her to connect services along the central line from Kigoma to Dar es Salaam. Between 1976 and 1979, the ship underwent a major overhaul, during which the original steam engines were replaced with twin diesel engines. Patrick Dougherty, born on the 18th of March 1918 in Downpatrick and trained at Harland and Wolff in Belfast, spearheaded this refurbishment. Having served as a ship's engineer in the Royal Navy during World War II, Dougherty later worked for EAR&H in Kisumu, Kenya, in the 1960s and 1970s, initially as first engineer and later as chief engineer on Lake Victoria ferries. Following the completion of Liemba's renovation, he departed Tanzania. In 1977, the East African Railways and Harbours was dissolved, and the Tanzania Railways Corporation assumed control of the operation of the Liemba. In 1993, the TRC undertook a comprehensive overhaul of the Liemba, which was managed by the Danish shipyard OSK Shiptech and funded by the Danish International Development Agency. The refurbishment encompassed several upgrades. The deck house, electronic systems and piping were renovated. Passenger and crew cabins were refurbished. New MAN engines, each producing 460 kilowatts, were installed. A hydraulic crane was mounted on the foredeck, and the rear cargo hold was converted into a passenger area, increasing capacity to 600 passengers. For enhanced safety, a double bottom was added in the forward cargo compartment. Presently, the Liemba features 10 first-class passenger cabins with double beds, 2 VIP cabins and 18 second-class cabins, comprising 6 double and 12 quad beds. In 1997, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees utilized both the Liemba and MV Mwongozo to repatriate over 75,000 refugees who had fled Zaire due to the First Congo War, following the ousting of longtime dictator Mobutu Sese Seko. During a 5-month period, the MV Liemba completed 22 voyages between Kigoma and Uvira as part of this humanitarian operation. In May 2015, the United Nations engaged the MV Liemba to evacuate 50,000 refugees escaping from the conflict in Burundi. In 2011, TRC contacted the federal government of Germany, seeking support to either refurbish or replace the vessel. Following a study by German authorities, it was determined that constructing a new ship would be more cost-effective than renovating the Liemba. The final appeal for financial aid was discussed between the governments of Lower Saxony, where the ship was originally built, and the federal government in Berlin, then President of Germany. Christian Wolff acknowledged the Liemba's singular history and her crucial role in serving the people of East Africa. The Liemba underwent significant maintenance in Kigoma in 2017 and resumed sailing on the 9th of August 2018. Now today, since August 2018, the MV Liemba has been operating weekly in both directions between Kigoma and Mpulungu. She travels from Kigoma to Mpulungu on Wednesdays through Fridays and returns from Mpulungu to Kigoma on Fridays through Sundays. The accommodations available on board range from first-class luxury cabins to third-class seating only. And that marks the end of a video, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, if you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing to the channel, as that would help out the channel a lot. Now, if you have any thoughts, comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, as I absolutely love reading your comments. And please let me know in the comment section down below as well what ships you would like me to cover in the future. Now be as well sure to check out our social media pages. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we also recently have a website, oldshippinglines.com, where we have articles of the ships we cover and we have book reviews as well. I think you will enjoy the website very much. Now, with that out of the way, guys, I wish you all a good night or day, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay happy, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye, my friends.